I jokingly call this the satanic baptism because it was the night that I was pretty stoned and I was pretty drunk, and I had been feeling this pull and this call, and also just my twin flame obsession. I was on fire, as far as like being unable to get this woman out of my head, right? So anyway, so I head down there and first I start like sort of like channeling and seeing the whole environment, and I see it as an expression of her. I meet this guy and he's just like, well, I hate the outdoors. I could never. He was gay. He was a gay guy too. And he's like, I could never ride on the back of a motorcycle. I would be too scared. And all. So I'm like, I love motorcycles. I had a motorcycle when I was 15 years old. But he was just such a delicate man, And it just thought it made me think, you know, Crystal, you're not a very adventurous, but I actually think that you would totally. That I could wear you like a backpack on a motorcycle. So, so that said, yeah. I was just getting all this stuff, Like I remember I was riding the bus and I met this woman. It's like kind of like a sort of sophisticated, elegant woman, like I think you are, And she reminded me of that day that I saw you at the society place, at the Everest Society place. Just kind of like one of those women, And she was sitting there like reading through this thing, and her husband was just like sitting next to her, and he was like half asleep. I would never sit like that. I have to way too much energy. I'm too crazy to just sit there and sleep, for the most part, right? But then, so I get to that house, and I start, for some reason, like I knew which apartment was yours, but I started looking for your apartment, and then and I couldn't find it, and I'm like I said, I'm tripping balls and I'm drunk at this point, and I get down to the first floor, right? And I look into this window and I decide this is your apartment, right? For some reason. And there's this, what's the name of that freaking satanic thing in the middle of it? That horrible satanic image. And I'm not a Satanist. I disagree with Satan. It's a horrible freaking concept, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then they have all these books and they're all stacked up in there. And I saw these like shoes when I was a kid and I was really comfortable in like a long black sweater and all this stuff. And it also something that I had envisioned many months before. They had like a white couch and everything in there, and this cat comes up to the window, and he's missing a leg, he's missing a limb, and he's missing an eye. And I looked at him, and he called me a fucking twat. He was really aggressive. It was really aggressive. He's like, you fucking twat. He's like, break the window, And something kept telling me to break the window. He's like, come on, break the window. You can come in through this. You break the window. And I had heard it as you, And I kind of feel like this was like, at one point, because they had a bunch of tarot cards. I was like, well, there'll be no tarot cards in my house, That's what I said to you. In which case you were like, oh, really? That's interesting. So, I know I heard me and I know you saw me that day. And because what happened afterwards was like I was just thinking like Jacob, and I was thinking about how he labored for a really long time, and I'm one of those people that thinks you have to labor really hard for good things in life, unfortunately, right, including you. So quite possibly, if I win your heart again and again and again, like the best thing I'll win in life, So this guy, right? I mean, so I'm sitting there, and I'm like, and I was thinking of Jacob, and I'm like, well, this is the rock on which I lay my head. And again, I was stoned and drunk, and I laid down, and I hear vividly, this masculine voice in my head, and it's like, you need a baptism, I'm like, well, this is just the gods fucking with me, the gods, like, it's the floating godheads that float through my awareness, And I've said this before, of like I think people say that people are bipolar, right? They have a wide range of emotions and feelings and stuff like that. What that actually is, it's just literally like all these things like coming through. Like you're a chosen. You have knowledge, something, an awareness, a particular voice, something like that, right? Okay. I've seen them in you too. So anyway, So yeah, and I've seen them in other people. Yeah, it's like rapid, like different personalities and thoughts. It's like what the fuck, like. So the way to cure that real quick, like an educator's must like to remember that you're not your mind or your thoughts. You keep where you're centered and going, and that kind of gets you to God, though. So anyway, so back to this, yeah, and she, so I dumped this leaf of water on me, and this pot leaf falls out. And I remember thinking, God, please don't be a pothead, because like I can't stand the smell of pot. And also, I'm not, with the exception of like I guess hallucinogens, like I really don't. I'm not. I just, yeah, I don't. I frown on drugs. I find myself doing more of them though these days. you know, um, and yeah, whatever. But nothing major because I believe that everything like carries a footprint. So if like what you take is like has a footprint of a lot of death and pain, like it's reflected in your trip. But if it's natural and it comes from the ground, like it's a little bit easier to handle. Also, it's easier on your bodies. You take meth and cocaine, like you're addicted, or like fentanyl and all that. So it's kind of scary. But anyway, that's not to say that you can't have elucidation during those times. So I go to the window and he told me, "Come on, break the window." I had to break the window. Break the window, break the window, and I did it. But then, I mean, I wind up yelling because this woman comes out, and I just lost my mind. Like I was jealous. I was enraptured, like in jealousy. And this is, and I can't bear or think of the idea of ever sharing you with another human being. Like I don't, I don't believe in that. Like I just, like what the fuck, And so yeah, so I lost my mind. That's why I started yelling. I don't know if you heard me or not. And but I was really, really loud. I was like, I don't remember what I was yelling. I called you. I was like, hey, goddess, or something like that. And your crotchety neighbor from above, who I did not, who pushed me. So I kind of stood up to him and I, pulled he grabbed a letter I had written you out of my hand and I ripped it out of his hand back. I didn't, just for the record, I didn't fuck him up or anything because he's an old man, but I wanted to. So yeah, so so anyway, he pokes his head out of the freaking thing and he's like, she's in Arizona. That's a whole nother story. So, but yeah, and I was I went up in the desert for a few days, and it was funny because I lost my cell phone and and everything. I was over there, I lost my passport, because I'd lost my ID before and I had to take my passport. So I don't have a passport, that always sucks. But which means I have to stay here, which is fine. But anyway, so he's and fucking whatever, man. And yeah, but then I got that order of protection the next day. Well, the cops came, all that stuff. And so there's that twin flamery, there's that oneness. There's a lot of stuff there, that you couldn't have known without knowing. Like that I tried to climb the side of the freaking thing. Like what the fuck, No one saw that. There were no cameras there. Like how'd you know that, It's on paper somewhere, And I know that I was having this dialogue with you. So yeah, I mean, now we're on blast. And I don't give a fuck. Kind of time to step in and step up. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with people. Like you're not going nuts. That's your twin flamery for you. And it's an interesting journey, if not maddening.